Elijah, the prophet of power and prayer. Elijah was one of the greatest prophets in the Bible. His name means, "The Lord is my God," and he lived during a time when most people in Israel had forgotten the true God. They were worshipping a false god named Baal, led by their wicked king Ahab and queen Jezebel. The drought and the brook. Elijah boldly stood before King Ahab and declared, "There will be no rain in Israel until I say so." That took great courage, because Ahab hated the truth. Then, God told Elijah to hide near the brook Kerith, far away from the king. There, something miraculous happened. Ravens brought him bread and meat every morning and evening. It was God's way of showing, "I will take care of you." But eventually, the brook dried up because of the drought. So God sent Elijah to a poor widow in Zarephath, a town outside Israel. She was gathering sticks to make one last meal for her and her son before they starved. But Elijah told her, "First, make me a small cake of bread." She obeyed, and from that day on, her jar of flour and jug of oil never ran dry. A miracle of life. While Elijah stayed with the widow, her son became very sick and died. She cried out in sorrow, blaming Elijah. But Elijah took the boy to his room, laid him on the bed, and prayed 3 times, "O Lord, let this boy's life return to him." God heard Elijah's prayer, and the boy came back to life. The widow was amazed and said, "Now I know you are a man of God." Fire on Mount Carmel. After 3 years, God told Elijah to return to King Ahab. The people were suffering, and God wanted to show them who the real God was. Elijah challenged the prophets of Baal to a contest on Mount Carmel. There were 450 prophets of Baal and only one Elijah. They each built an altar and placed a sacrifice on it. The prophets of Baal shouted, danced, and cut themselves, begging their God to send fire, but nothing happened. Then Elijah repaired the altar of the Lord, placed the offering, and even poured water over everything to make it harder to burn. He prayed, "Let it be known today that you are God in Israel." Suddenly, fire fell from heaven. It burned up the sacrifice, the stones, and even the water. The people fell to the ground and cried, "The Lord, He is God." Elijah had turned the hearts of the people back to God. Running from Jezebel. But Queen Jezebel was furious. She sent a message, "You will be dead by tomorrow." Elijah was afraid and ran into the desert. He was so tired and sad that he prayed, "Lord, take my life." But God didn't give up on him. Instead, an angel touched him and gave him food and water. Elijah ate, rested, and then walked 40 days to Mount Horeb. There, God showed Elijah something special. A mighty wind blew. God wasn't in it. Then came an earthquake. God wasn't in that either. Then came a fire, but God wasn't there. Finally, Elijah heard a gentle whisper. That's where God was. Sometimes, God speaks not in loud miracles, but in quiet moments. The end of his earthly life, Elijah continued to serve God and trained a young prophet named Elisha. Then, one day, as they were walking and talking, a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared. In a whirlwind, Elijah was taken up to heaven, without dying. It was a glorious end to a powerful life. Lessons from Elijah's life. God provides, even in hard times. One person with faith can stand against many. Prayer is powerful. God is near, even in silence. God never abandons his faithful ones.